Hi, welcome to yet another episode of Recruiters React. And today we are going to be talking about flexible working. According to the 2025 Employer Brand Research, we know that work-life balance is a very high on the priority list for many job seekers today. And we also know that flexible work is one of the biggest motivators as to how happy or how engaged they feel at work. But over the years, many companies have since asked their people to come back full-time in the office. But at the same time, I think there are some job seekers who are quite adamant about having that flexibility when they look for a new opportunity. So we have two guests joining us today where we talk about talent expectations around flexible work. Why don't you start introducing yourself, Clara?
Hello everybody. I'm hiring for the accounting and finance space, primarily for telecoms, media and technology sectors.
Hi, I'm Putra. I'm part of the life science team. I'm primarily covering the medical devices and diagnostic space within the commercial and technical positions within APAC itself.
Okay, so just a warm-up question, I just want to find out what's your working arrangement now? Like how many days do you work in the office? How many days do you work at home?
I think it's the same for us.
Yeah, both
Come
same
back
for
to the
us.
office on Mondays to Thursdays.
Monday to Thursday, so it's 4 days, and then we have a Friday all to ourselves.
Okay, but Putra, I know that sometimes you come back. Actually, most of the time you come back on Fridays, right? Like, why is that?
Yes, personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of the office. I prefer to come back on Fridays because I love to come to the CBD area. I feel it's a bit more productive when I'm in the office. Partly that when I'm in the office, I'm very focused, so that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back.
Okay, so it's more of a vibe thing.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So when you work from home and when you work in the office, right? Is your routine different? Like, do you purposely plan things according to where you're working?
For me, yes. I think Fridays for me is more of admin. So I do a lot of calls Monday to Thursdays. Fridays is really to catch up on admin work, format additional CVs I haven't formatted throughout the week. So yeah, catch up to make sure that I'm on track for the next week as well.
Yeah, I think quite similar. I think towards the early part, especially for our roles, Monday to Wednesdays are prime time for meet candidates and clients, and Thursdays where we usually meet the HRs because everyone's slightly more free, and Friday we try not to disturb them, but they are also free. So ideally being in CBD is good to catch up for lunch, dinners and all that.
Right, that's why
Yeah.
Putra's in the office all the time. I think for me, when I'm at home, I tend to not have any meetings at all. So it's just like banging out all the tasks. But we have some anecdotes or scenarios that we have picked up online because people like to complain all the time, right? And then sometimes people bring their complaints online. So I think it's more about going through some of these more common ones, and then how would you think about it? Like, do you think, of course, there's no right or wrong answers here, but if they need some advice, what would you advise them on as well? So the first one that a lot of people have mentioned is like their employers actually offer flexible work, quite similar to ours, like, maybe 1 or 2 days they are allowed to work from home, but they have to be online all the time. Like they have to respond to chats immediately, they have to pick up calls immediately. So people tend to feel a bit stressed about that, like as though they can never leave their desk, like chained to their desk, which is somehow worse than in the office. Because then, in the office, people, their managers,
They know what you're doing.
yeah, correct. So, and then they have compulsory lunch also, like 12 to 1. Yeah, so there are some scenarios, I think like quite common lah. So they don't really feel like flexible work is flexible work. Yeah, so how would you advise them? Like, how do they then be
Then-
able to do that while at home?
Navigate their day through
Yeah.
this schedule. Not sure about your end, but I think for myself, when I'm working from home or when I'm not really in the office, I do block it out on my calendar. So anyone who's actually looking within my calendar or asking for updates, they can roughly see where I'm at or what I'm doing that for a particular moment. I think pinging of message, I think because we are in the digital world, so when we ping message, we just expect an immediate response, right? But sometimes when someone message me, I can be in conversations like this,
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I think everyone need to have that a bit of understanding with each other. Not sure about you.
I think trust is very important, usually for management staff. If they do like make sure that you really must reply within that 1 hour, then is the trust really there? I don't think so. Feels a bit like micromanaging to me. So I think for flexible work arrangements, trust is very important among the management staff. Whereas for employers or staff in a company, I feel like you need to set your boundaries. I think it's very easy to work OT because you are just at home, you know?
Yeah.
Like anytime you want to work, you can work. You don't have to end work because you're in the comfort of your own home. But it's important to set boundaries, like to know that, okay, 6 p.m. it's time to knock off. Yeah, then go ahead.
I think just to add on about the flexible working arrangement, I think the most important thing is that what is the end goal, right? What's the goal? I think in order for it to actually work, it's actually the productivity.
Yeah.
I think that's how we should view it. Instead of like, okay, what are you doing at every single minute? You know,
Yeah.
that the productivity should be the end goal. And if it's not, then of course we revisit from there.
So you don't track working hours, you track the outcomes.
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of the day, then they tell you like, hey, Putra, I've done this and that. But what if whatever they have done, right, it's not to your standards.
That's
Like they are lacking.
I think that's also where we bring back to the talk about communication, right? I think that's why we have our check-in meetings on
Yes.
Mondays, and of course towards the end of the week we check in on that.
Yeah.
But I think it's of course setting the tone of what the week is about. For my end within the desk, I think for the life science desk, we always have to focus of, okay, this is the clients that we're focusing on, or this are the patch that we're definitely focusing on. So at least we know roughly where we'll cross path and all.
Yeah, so clear objectives to be set, especially at the beginning of the week. And then, of course, regular check-ins from your management. Also depends on how long you've been in the company. I think if you're long enough, you know your staff, nobody will care. But if really you are a new joiner within that 6 months, then
Yeah.
yes, regular check-in support from managers is very important.
Okay. So, Putra, just now you say your calendar is open for everybody to see.
I do.
Oh, yours
Yeah.
too. But what about some people? They don't like everybody to see their calendars because sometimes they put in but like haircut lah, you know, birthday dinners
I don't
after
think it's
dinner.
busy.
Oh, okay.
When I say open, I put it as people view it as busy.
Oh,
yeah.
Really public.
Oh yeah,
I can see
yes.
also.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you just go,
Oh, okay. You know about Clara's life.
But-
Okay, but what about like message? Do you reply them immediately? Like if people message you, are you the kind?
I think it depends on how urgent. And anyway, if it's really urgent, it will be a call lah. You won't really
true.
Yeah, apart from that, if it's not very urgent, if I feel like you can wait, then you have to prioritize your work.
And I like to reply immediately, but then the thing is, like, I know when I start replying, I'm gonna be everywhere. So sometimes I dedicate time to just reply, and then waste that amount of time of replying, and then I'll just back to my zone.
Waste the amount of time reply.
Yeah.
Okay, the second thing that a lot of people talk about is the door is open but barely, because now in Singapore especially, right, we can actually apply for flexible work arrangements with our employers. Like there's some sort of like MOM guidelines that you should read about. But a lot of people say that their boss have flexible work, but on the boss's term. So if the boss come back office, right, then they come back office. If the boss work from home, then they work from home. So they have to plan their entire life around their boss's schedule, right? So how would you say that? Like, you know, there's too many. First of all, you are following your boss's schedule. Is that fair, do you think?
I personally think it's not. Right? I really personally think it's not fair. But I also need to understand what's the nature of the work, right? If it's always you need to have your boss's approval or engagement with your boss for most of your tasks, then it kind of makes sense, right? But I think that is also the boss' responsibility. As the senior in the team, you should know that how to not call your teammates within the next 5 minutes, right? Okay, we need to be there in 30 minutes. You can't do that. So I think this is more of like, okay, as a manager, right? How do you communicate your timeline or your schedule? That being said, it's a reverse role, right? Last time people are chasing like, oh, what's your schedule like for the next week? But as a manager now, if they are following your schedule, you should tell them your schedule in 2 weeks and in advance. I think that's be fair.
I think the staff doesn't need to follow the boss 27%. It also depends on the nature of their work. But I don't think it is fair for staff to follow their boss schedule. Like your 9 to 6, you really have to be there with your boss. Yeah. But I guess it's understandable if your boss comes in only at 11, then you can start work at 11. Then you end by, 6, 7. Yeah, but if it's too early in the morning, then I don't think by 7 a.m. after my boss finishes his job, you have to be in the office by 7 a.m. Then I think that's a bit too much. Yeah.
You're all rule breakers here. I also don't like it. I mean, like, the boss is having meetings with different people, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm not even in those meetings, then why should I
Yeah.
follow where they are? Then the second one is there's now an approval process for flexible work arrangements. So you can actually raise it out, go and talk to your manager and say, hi, like maybe, some people are parents or like caregivers, they need that kind of flexibility. But some people feel bad about applying for this.
That's the Asian culture right there. Yeah, I mean, you know, there are days where you, especially you come in like, oh, I feel bad if I'm taking MC, right? You know, it's like, I know I have a lot of things to do and all this, but I think it's also, hence why we are appreciative of the Gen Zs, right? They are stepping forward, you know, like being very bold of what they want. I think that's what millennials can learn, can accept from. But I think in terms of feeling bad about the working arrangement, I think it also has to be from top down, right? I mean, yes, we always say it's always from the bottom up, but I think from top down, you have to be very open and be upfront, or even lead with an example.
Yeah.
And also, you know, it's not only just saying like, oh, there's flexible working arrangement. You also need to portray how it looks like, right? Yeah. So I think that's we should, you know, get from there.
I think it's your entitlement, so don't need to be high say. Or from home kind of arrangement. But yeah, good point. I think the management has to make an example, be a role model as to what kind of or how many days should you take to work from home.
Yeah. And I know some of our management team here are parents, so they come in early also because they have to drop off the kids. They have to drop off the parents, the kids at school, right? Then they also leave earlier because they have to go and pick up the kids at school. But it's true what you said. Like we have a lot to learn from Gen Zs as well, right? Especially just now when you mentioned about the MC. I had a conversation the other day, and then they said like, oh, you know, in Asian culture, right, applying for MC, like, you know, if I tell my boss, it's like, oh, you know, I sick today, I'm not coming in. Then we always follow up with her why because I'm having flu, I'm having flu. But then it's not necessary at the same time. Do you ever tell your bosses like, oh, I'm not feeling sick because I don't know, I have to go and remove my appendix or something?
I still do. Yeah.
Oh,
At least roughly. But I think that's why I think Gen Z is like, okay, I'm an MC.
Just taking a mental health. You have so much to learn. And then the other one is my employer offers flexible work, but everybody else is not working flexibly. So company maybe has flexible work. You know, you're allowed to work from 1 to 2. That's company wide. But then your team is the one that, you know, Mondays to Fridays must be in the office. And then you look around, the office is empty. There's a pent out frustration and anger. If you were them, how would you navigate that?
Same thing. Don't be spicy, right? You mentioned. But I think that's the part, right? I mean, when we have it's a culture thing, right? But of course, when there is such things in place that you can take, again, it bounces back to the word entitlement, right? You are allowed. It's not like, you know, there's a lot of processes for you to actually, like, you know, go through and get it. You know?
I think if the whole team is staying back, let's say Monday to Friday, and then the rest of the office only gets to work from home 3 days a week, then there must be a reason as to why the boss mandates the whole team to work in the office. So I think it is important to ask your boss instead. Like, why is the team doing this? Is there a particular reason that I'm not aware of? I just want to understand better so that I don't become resentful. So
you're a more direct person. You walk out to the boss, it's like, hey, why?
So you ask your colleagues, your colleagues say, oh, because person A says so. So just follow. Then
okay. And then if you talk to your peers, they manifest the anger.
You become a revolution after that. And we're like, why we stay?
So and then there's this thing like flexible work doesn't necessarily mean work from office or work from home. Some people work at night also, right? Then they start, okay, sometimes I do this also like, cause I write better at night, right? Then I email people at night.
True.
I message people at night also, cause sometimes it's like, oh, it just struck me, and then if I don't do it now, I will forget tomorrow.
Exactly.
Do you feel pressured to reply to these messages?
I have a trick to that.
Oh.
My trick is that I do those work at those timings, but I schedule those emails at the timing which is tomorrow morning.
Okay.
The reason why I do that is because it also to set boundaries, right? Because if you start replying people at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., everyone knows you're going to be accessible at 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
And they wouldn't expect that kind of
exactly. So that's my perspective on it. Yes, I sometimes get that, you know, extra energy in the middle of the night to do CVs, you know, but of course you can't call candidates at those times. But I mean, those emails, those emails is where I'm actually scheduling for tomorrow morning, so it'll be sent out immediately. So in a way, when you come to work tomorrow, so you feel like, oh, I actually did a lot of things already, right? That's how I focus my energy or feel that way.
I like to work late at night also, especially after my kids goes to sleep. So I do send out messages late at night. But sometimes I'll second guess myself, like, is this an appropriate timing to send an email to a client? If it's very urgent, like what you say, if the client emails me very late at night and it's very urgent, then yes, I'll reply to it. But I will not feel pressured that I have to reply every single email when it's after working hours.
I also schedule my email, but text messages is
Yeah, no.
another
I think
thing.
for text messages, especially when we are contacting candidates a lot, right? I think I put a time limit of like 9:30 max. Then unless the candidate tell me themselves like,
offer.
yeah.
It's me, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Then they were like, oh yeah, must accept the job or not do the sleep. Yeah.
Okay. So, you guys are recruiters. So, there must be incidents where there are two offers or two very interesting job offers at hand, right? One, higher salary, but no flexible work. Like office 1 to 5. One, slightly slower salary, not like 1,000 lower, like maybe like couple of hundred lower, but very, very flexible work. Do you sense that your candidates have one preference over the other?
Right. Same. The word is priority, right? I think one of the things that I personally do, or most of our recruiters do, is that we actually really speak about your goals and motivations. I think that's where, I think that really put us apart compared to the others out there, right? It's because when we do this, we understand that their goals, right? And motivations, and of course, what's the next step that they really want. Of course, it really depends. If you're a single guy and then you're a married person, with kids, there's definitely different goals from there. But in terms of if you're talking about the current generation, of course, they're way more towards the flexibility, right?
Current millennials?
We want flexibility, but we're not flexible to do it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, it's really depends on the motivation of the candidate itself.
Okay, so it's more about the job opportunity itself versus.
I think candidates' motivation is the right way to put it. So recently I had a client with remote working arrangement. And I thought, it would be very easy work. It's not a fresh grad role, you need some experience with that job. But I thought it would be very easy to fill. But no, so 2 out of 5 candidates rejected my remote work from home. Yeah. They said they don't want, they want a very structured working environment. They want teamwork, which you don't get from remote work from home kind of situation. So yeah, they rejected the role. So it really depends on the needs and the motivations of the candidate.
It's a good point that you bring it out, because a lot of candidates I spoke to, or even managers, right, they actually brought up the point where they are actually very fatigued of this working remotely. I'm not advocating it, so I'm just saying that they have been bringing this up because everyone, especially within the sales part, the commercial side, they really enjoy the interaction, right?
Yeah.
So it can be quite tiring unless those roles are like the first headcount within APAC, and of course you're gonna be remote and be there yourself, right? Yeah.
So the remote work, sorry, I was trying to validate your point, but the remote work is fully remote.
Yeah, they don't have an office in Singapore.
Oh, so it's a single person at home. Can they
have a team, so it's a team of 5. So if they have to do check-ins, it's all via virtual.
So they don't even have a co-working space that they go to right now.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know people, my friends network, who does their work completely remote, and I mean, most of them enjoy it. They even got pets while they're doing it, and then they got new hobbies as well. But a very big thing that came up for them is they feel sometimes a bit lonely.
Yeah.
And then they have all these nice clothes that they cannot wear. Like no reason to
So
wear.
they can just check Clara calendar and ask out for lunch.
Okay. But when you interview candidates now, right? Do they, is it one of their first questions? Like, hey, does the company offer flexible work?
Not for me.
Not for you?
Yeah, I think after COVID, that's the first few questions that they ask, and they're very adamant about it. But this year, I feel like no, not one of their top priority.
I'll say right now it's only 20% of my calls are
Yeah.
asking about the working arrangements. Yeah.
So it's more about securing the opportunity. Then if have, then it's a good thing. If don't have, then they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say especially for my patch, there's more focus on the career trajectory, the growth, not more on the working arrangement. Yeah.
Is location important? Because like in Singapore, even though we are very small, right, a lot of people want flexible work.
Yeah.
So I mean, we are very fortunate to be in Raffles Place, so it's very central. But then life sciences
Yeah.
and can be quite far out, right?
A lot of the offices are in the CBD.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, candidates do they do care lah about where the location of the office is. So that's one of our first questions also when we ask them during the call. Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, I think location-wise, because my branch is definitely more towards the west side, right? Biopolis and all this. But some locations are far out west, especially those medical manufacturers, or even on Tampines side. So it's more industrial. So some candidates do actually bring up on the first point. Especially we know it's a very technical role, then they will want to bring it up immediately.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to work in like Changi Business
West,
Park.
and-
I'm in the west now. So if Buona Vista, then Buona Vista I'm okay. One North I'm okay also.
Also, you actually bring passport every day.
Silence.
Yes, I do. Gee, Singaporeans, you don't even need to bring passport.
You were just
You need to get the other side. Yeah. So I think that's it for most of the common scenarios. But do you have any advice for candidates, who are looking for jobs if they are very adamant about flexible work? How can they manage their expectations?
Me? Okay. I think same thing, right? Whenever you speak to any recruiters or even the hiring managers, I think the first thing that you can definitely ask is about the working arrangements or how many days in office and so on. I think these are valid questions to ask. I think it's also important that you also be transparent. Why do you want it? I mean, especially if if you have kids, or even if you have other responsibilities, it's fair to ask. It's always a two-way street. Yeah.
I think it's not a must-have. I feel it really depends on your motivation. If it really is a must-have for you, then right from the onset, if any recruiter or any HR calls you and contacts you, just tell them that I need remote work from home, or I need at least 2 days work from home. If not, just don't waste each other's time. Other than that, I think you need to evaluate why you need to work from home. It doesn't mean that you need to work from home. Maybe you can start work at 8 p.m. right, and you end work at 5 p.m. Then that's also considered flexible working arrangement. So are you okay with that also? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that we have conversations with candidates on a daily basis. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I think that's all for this episode. Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching. If you have any topics that you would like us to talk about in our future episodes, do write in to us. But thank you, Clara. Thank you, Putra. Remember, life sciences and accounting and finance. So if you are looking for jobs, please reach out to them. Yes, and thank you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.